This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore. Well, the State of the Union address was on Tuesday evening, and I'm sure you're all set at ease by Donald Trump's sniffly proclamation that the state of our union is strong. It was his first time back at the podium following the victory on the part of the Democrats in taking back the House of Representatives, which was a notable loss for Donald Trump that went largely unrecognized. Directly, at least. A few glaring omissions included the record-breaking government shutdown, which left 800,000 plus government employees without pay, in addition to the thousands upon thousands of contractors who will likely not be compensated in the way of back pay. The fact that yet another government shutdown is again looming over all of our heads, unless Trump is able to use his mind-bendingly world-class negotiation skills to make a deal. Climate change, which would have been nice to have heard about, given the recent reports about the hole under an Antarctic glacier and the imminent catastrophe to follow as a result. Gun violence wasn't mentioned. Threats to gay and trans communities weren't mentioned. Then again, why would he address any of these issues when he has had a direct hand in causing the government shutdown, preventing necessary action on climate change and gun control, and attacking the LGBTQ community? Instead, he stuck with his greatest hits, fear-mongering and lying about brown people. And while the room wasn't filled with the typical MAGA miscreants that make up his audiences at campaign rallies, there was still chants of USA, USA, like it was some kind of a pep rally. At various points during the speech, Republicans rose to their feet chanting like it was a campaign rally. The Republican Party sure does know how to make their fragile ego in chief feel at ease following tremendous losses. But what struck me as most concerning with this State of the Union address was Donald Trump's comments about, quote, ridiculous partisan investigations, unquote, threatening the, quote, peace and legislation, unquote, and describing, quote, an economic miracle. Donald Trump went full gaslight and suggested that these ridiculous partisan investigations could threaten our economy.
An economic miracle is taking place in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations. If there is going to be peace and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation. It just doesn't work that way.
Donald Trump obviously unwittingly, because he knows about as much about history as he knows any other topic, which is to say very, very little, he obviously unwittingly recycled a moment of history from yet another criminal president of the United States. Because now that you've heard Trump maligning the numerous investigations into his criminal and un-American activity, listen to Richard Nixon from January 30th, 1974, about 8 months before he was forced to resign in shame to avoid being impeached. The similarities of the two moments in history are seriously amazing.
Mr. Speaker, and Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues and our guests, I would like to add a personal word with regard to an issue that has been of great concern to all Americans over the past year. I refer, of course, to the investigations of the so-called Watergate affair. As you know, I have provided to the special prosecutor voluntarily a great deal of material. I believe that I have provided all the material that he needs to conclude his investigations and to proceed to prosecute the guilty and to clear the innocent. I believe the time has come to bring that investigation and the other investigations of this matter to an end.
Now, with the great benefit of historical hindsight, we now know that Richard Nixon was lying out of his sweaty face. Prior to calling for a swift end to the investigations, we know that his claim about cooperating was simply not true. He wasn't fully cooperating. Not only did he try to snuff out the investigation into his many crimes by firing the special prosecutor, Archibald Cox, he also refused to turn over the White House recordings which, once obtained, blew the entire conspiracy wide open and ultimately led to his quitting before his term ended. And Trump has done virtually the same exact thing, trying to get former White House counsel Don McGahn to fire Robert Mueller and stonewalled, all while claiming to be providing unprecedented levels of cooperation. I can only hope that the results in this case will be the same, that within the coming months we will be rid of this traitor to the rule of law, rid of this traitor to the constitutional separations of power, rid of this traitor to the very principles upon which this country was founded.